Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Master Archeo. Today, I'm bringing you a little bit of a different type of video today. So, I've always wanted to do a video kind of like this, and it's been something I've been kind of putting off, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to try it or not. Um, and this here specifically is something that I really wanted to get into. So, what I decided to do today for you guys is to do kind of a reading of a virtual book, um, one that I've been following for a very long time. So, if any of you guys know the Call of Duty Black Ops or Treyarch Zombies storyline, the book itself has um, a lore to it, and this book tells everything about the lore in chronological order, from the beginning of time to current day, which I believe it ends in Black Ops 3, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I've seen a few different readings and go throughs of this. Some of them are super fast, some of them are just, breeze through them. I wanted to take my time with this, do a small reading, um, not, do one of the normal super loud, super energetic videos and just kind of relax and do a reading of this book together. We'll do a few of these. We'll do one of these now. Um, if we enjoy it and you guys end up liking this type of video, uh, first of all, leave a like and also a comment that you would like to see more of these, and we will move on and so forth. So, uh, there won't be much explaining to most of this. For those of you who do not know what this is about, um, I would like you guys to kind of go through the story as a story. And for those of you who do know what it's about, there will be a slight knowledge of what is actually going on. So, um, for the most part, there will be some small explanations of some things just to touch on a few subjects, but most of all, it's just going to be a reading of what the Kronorium of has to offer us, which is what this book is called. It's called just the Kronorium, which tells the chronological order of the Call of Duty Zombies world, from the creation of time to current day. So without further ado, let us go ahead and open. And you can see, first of all, the credits here of everybody who did any kind of work on it. Anybody who did any kind of a community or help. Hitman, Little Robot, Killer Demon. Just some people that helped on the actual design and everything. So here's the index. You got the storyline here. In the beginning, Dimension 63, Agartha, and Fractures. Some of the main characters: Tank Dempsey, Edward Richtofen, Nikolai Belinsky, and Takio Masaki. And I believe you can actually go through some of these and just kind of look at their character bios, but they are in their own areas of the book. So I guess we will just start from the beginning and go from there. And yeah, if we end up having any, we'll go as far as we can. Let me see if there is a, because I know these few areas, Dimension 63 and in the beginning, are specific places, so we may only go towards them. So Dimension 63, yeah, because that's around that timeline. So let us go ahead and dive right in. In the beginning, there was only the Ether and the Keepers. Among them were two beings who would later be known by many names. One would be known as Dr. Monty, the other as the Shadow Man. September 3rd, 5 AD. I guess this would be. I'm not exactly sure what their AD would be consisting of, but I guess after development, who knows? September 3rd. Knowing the planet has a gateway to Agartha, which is kind of like their uh, afterlife realm, the Apothicons send meteors of element 115 to Earth. They believe humanity will one day use element 115 to wage war amongst themselves, opening a rift that will allow the Apothicons to escape the Dark Ether. So the Dark Ether is kind of the negative to the Ether. So if you had Heaven and Hell, you have the Ether and the Dark Ether. Element 115, as most zombie fanatics will know, is basically another element on the periodic table that creates zombies, pretty much. January 15th, 1292, the Great War between humanity and the Apothicons begins. So this is way back. April 14th, 1294, Sir Pablo Marinus is saved from the clutches of a Margwa by 4 unknown heroes. They would later become known as Primis. Now there will be a few different groups. Primis is the normal zombies characters that you see on the left-hand side, but they are the past versions of themselves, basically. December 31st, 1299. Together with the Keepers, Primis defeats the Apothicons, bringing the Great War to an end. January 1st, 1300. Before they seemingly disappear from history, Primis instructs the Wolf King to begin building Der Eisendrache, which Der Eisendrache is the giant castle you get to play in. The Wolf King is someone that you not really meet, but you hear about. September 19th, 1318. Honoring the Wolf King's dying requests, his loyal servant, Arthur, scatters and buries his bones in the grounds of Der Eisendrache, accompanied by the king's wolf. September 20th, 1318. Temporal rifts teleport Arthur to Resolution 1295 in 2025 Angola. June 30th, 1908, so we take a humongous jump here. A meteor containing element 115 crashes near the stony Tunguska River. This, for those of you who have played, would know this as Shangri-La, or not Shangri-La. I believe this is what is that map? Most people know what the map is. I'm just drawing a blank at this point. I'm sure it will probably get mentioned. August 30th, 1925, Dr. Edward Richtofen joins the Illuminati. Everybody knows Richtofen. He's always a fun person. February 4th, 1931, large deposits of element 115 are discovered near Breslau, Germany. Dr. Ludwig Maxis, a German scientist, is sent to investigate. So this is the first time we're hearing of Maxis. May 10th, 1931, Maxis forms Group 935, an experimental organization dedicated to the study of element 115. Maxis tells his scientists they represent the future of technological advancement and will be pioneers of human discovery. The group swears to work in secrecy from their respective governments. As Maxis says, we cannot afford to let this power fall into the wrong hands. So Group 935 is one of the major companies of the beginning of how zombies starts. And they have all of these different groups of people from different countries. November 5th, 1935, Samantha Maxis is born. Her mother dies in childbirth. So this is the beginning of Samantha Maxis' life. August 11th, 1936. Maxis invites Richtofen to join Group 935. He agrees, secretly acting on behalf of the Illuminati's interests. So, where most people came in not in favor of their countries, Richtofen comes in with the Illuminati's interest. April 10th, 1937, the Imperial Japanese Army discovers element 115 meteor fragments in a swamp of the Japanese territories. They build the Rising Sun facility to continue research. Division 9 is created to oversee its operation. So this is the first we're going to hear more about Takiao and a few other maps involving the Rising Sun facility, which all involve in that same area. June 14th, 1937. The United States government discovers deposits of element 115 at Groom Lake, Nevada. So this would be the no man's land on the moon map, for those of you who are tagging along with the map count. Shinonuma, by the way, is the Rising Sun facility and the Tunguska River, as it has just come to my mind. July 2nd, 1939, Maxis and Richtofen begin teleportation experiments with the matter transference prototype to mild success. Subjects are teleported, but their chemical compositions is altered, leaving them catatonic and changed. So this is where, on the Darius map, where you get the teleporter, this is where they very first start using the matter transference prototype, and you can hear it in some of the radios. August 5th, 1939, using element 115, Maxis and Richtofen resurrect one of the teleported corpses for the first time. Initially, it obeys, but soon becomes rabid and attacks them. The test subject is euthanized. So this is the first time we are hearing of a zombie. September 3rd, 1939, Richtofen begins development of the Wunderwaffe DG2, or the Wunderwaffe DG2. Of course, that's the big lightning gun that you get on Shinonuma. November 23rd, 1939, Maxis turns to the Reichstag, sure, for additional fundraising. Germany agrees to the request expressing interest in their weapons research, teleportation technology, and the reanimated undead subjects. So, in this instance, Maxis is getting extra funds, and Germany is now expressing their own interest in zombies and their special weapons. So currently Maxis is starting to go against what he initially wanted the group to be for. December 4th, 1939, during Test Trial 151, Richtofen and Dr. Schuster successfully teleport a walnut. This is first successful test. Why does that seem wrong? This is first successful test where the chemical composition of the object is maintained throughout the process. I feel like there was supposed to be a "the" in that sentence. Either way, this was basically the first moment where teleportation worked, regardless of the subject. December 5th, 1939, Edward's walnut delivery fails to impress Maxis, who declares it was a waste of time. He reveals to Richtofen that Group 935 will soon be funded by Germany. Richtofen worries this will lead to a massive defections. He and Schuster decide to continue their teleportation experiments behind Maxis' back. So Schuster is a assistant, basically. He will come into play later. I think his first name might have been Edward as well. I don't remember. We will find out more than likely. January 4th, 1940, Richtofen and Schuster conduct their first human teleportation test. Richtofen is so confident in its success, he volunteers himself. Teleported to the moon, he encounters the MPD, the ether pyramid hidden by the apothecons. While inspecting the device, Richtofen is electrocuted and begins hearing many voices of corruption, including that of the Shadow Man. The device then teleports him to Shangri-La, corrupted by the dark ether. Richtofen is gradually driven insane by an obsession to find Agartha. So this here is basically the events of the Shangri-La map and the moon map. So you go to Shangri-La and you quickly see that where Richtofen is hidden behind the door, and then Moon, where you find the pyramid, and that is the completion of the cryogenic slumber party achievement for those of you who are following along with the zombie storyline. For those of you who have no idea what the zombie storyline is talking about, this is where things get real. January 5th, 1940, Richtofen is worshipped by the natives of Shangri-La. An altar is built in his name. Richtofen encounters the focusing stone for the first time. So these are the events of the Shangri-La map. January 23rd, 1940. After a near month absence, Richtofen returns to Schuster with a plan to build Griffin Station, which Griffin Station is the giant base on the moon. So basically, Richtofen leaves for a month and comes back to Schuster and goes, hey, guess what? January 24th, 1940, Richtofen renounces his involvement with the Illuminati. When asked how he could abandon his obligation to the Order, he says Teddy was a liar. So this is where Richtofen, current day Richtofen, begins to go insane, which is what we will later learn as Victus, which is there's Primis and Victus and a few other groups, but this is the current day Richtofen. So he starts to go a little insane after basically seeing he might as well have just had an out-of-body experience. March 13th, 1940, construction of Griffin Station on the moon begins. Frustrated with Maxis's alignment with Germany, other disgruntled Group 935 scientists join the cause. So because Maxis is choosing to side with Germany, even though they were not supposed to choose a country to side with, now people with Group 935 are now joining Richtofen, which is just aiding his madness. July 13th, 1940, Maxis instructs his assistant, Sophia, to write a letter to the Reichstag High Command requesting additional funds. Though he reports that mass production will soon be underway shortly, Der Reis lacks not only the funding, but sufficient volumes of element 115. So Maxis then calls to the people who were giving him money in the first place and basically says, we still don't have enough funding, we need more, and we also need more 115 as well. August 1st, 1940. Hey, it's my birthday, but a long time ago. In response to Maxis's request, Germany creates 2 new facilities for Group 935. They are the Kino facility, a repurposed theater, and the Asylum facility at Wittenau Sanatorium in Berlin. So these are 2 maps that you play. Obviously, Kino der Toten, and the Asylum facility is Verrucht. August 18th, 1940. As per Germany's request, the Japanese Imperial Army hands over the Rising Sun facility to Group 935. Division 9 remains involved on the site. So, Shinonuma is still continuing to run currently. October 3rd, 1940, Group 935 establishes a research facility in Siberia near the Tunguska River. November 6th, 1940, Group 935 establishes a research facility at Der Eisendrache. So now Shinonuma has a 935 facility and Der Eisendrache has a 935 facility. June 24th, 1941, Nikolai Belinsky's wife is killed during a German advance into the Soviet Union. In an effort to numb the pain, Nikolai increasingly turns to vodka. So this is the first time that we hear that Nikolai begins to drink, and this is why. So all the jokes that he makes during the games where he's drinking, this is why. And I'm constantly drinking. Water, that is. January 11th, 1942, Max gives Fluffy to Samantha. The dog is expecting a litter. Fluffy, of course, ends up becoming important in a little bit as well. January 20th, 1942. So you can see that a lot of these moments that happen during what would pretty much be like World War II, Call of Duty World at War, Call of Duty Black Ops 1, Zombies, all of those happen around 1940 to 1942. January 20th, 1942, Maxis tests the first file for storage on the data servant. January 26th, 1942, on the data servant, Maxis catalogs locations with prominent Element 115 deposits. He includes information about its various applications and cities that the reanimation of the dead cells is a possible side effect. Or sites, I guess is what I was supposed to say. So basically, he writes down on his data servant that Element 115 causes zombies, pretty much. January 30th, 1942, Richtofen completes the Wunderwaffe DG2 prototype. So the DG2 has been completed. February 1st, 1942, with Griffin Station completed, Richtofen names Dr. Groff lead scientist and returns to Earth to continue the charade with Maxis. Working alongside Schuster, Groff is left to discover the power of the MPD. So Groff has basically been sent to the pyramid on the moon to discover what exactly it does. February 2nd, 1942, in a speech to his staff, Groff talks optimistically about Griffin Station's establishment as a permanent base of operations. April 17th, 1942, Maxis develops the ray gun prototype at the Rising Sun facility. H. Porter works on developing the second generation model. So in Shinonuma, the ray gun is created, and H. Porter starts to work on the ray gun Mark II, basically. June 13th, 1942, a result of temporal rifts in 1963 Kino, Monty reaches across time and offers little nudges. One nudge is developing Group 935's Element 115 fused elixirs. They create 4 medicinal beverages known as colloquial something as basically they create Juggernog, Quick Revive, Speed Cola, and Double Tap. So pretty much, because I think this is the first time you actually see these perks, which is basically what they end up being. Dr. Monty, who's supposed to be one of the main deities between him and the Shadow Man, Dr. Monty kind of gives 935 a nudge to create perks. June 28th, 1942, Group 935 continues development of a weapons grade upgrade machine, so Pack-a-Punch. which was basically a machine to uh, increase weapons damage, stuff like that. July 18th, 1942, Groff and Schutzer unwittingly discover how to charge the MPD when Schutzer kills a rat near the device. Its death inexplicably begins filling the tank, charging the device. Wow, that was a weird sentence. They report their findings to Richtofen. So basically, they accidentally kill a rat, and it fills with the soul of the rat, pretty much. July 20th, 1942, Richtofen begins sending soldiers and scientists to the moon to be sacrificed, their souls used to charge the MPD. So Richtofen pretty much goes, oh, so you kill things to fill these up. You know what we're going to do? We're going to send everybody that works for us to also go get killed. So, yeah, he turns a little genocidal here. November 5th, 1942, Takeo Mizaki is dispatched by the Emperor to oversee the work at the 935 and Division 9 at the Rising Sun facility, work of the groups. So this is the first time you hear of Takeo, who is part of Division 9 and Group 935. December 8th, 1942, Richtofen shares the Element 115 base elixir recipes with Griffin Station. They develop Mule Kick. So they basically show them, hey, this is what we've got, and they create something new. December 9th, 1942, Nikolai's brother is killed in the Battle of Stalingrad. December 14th, 1942, Richtofen creates the monkey bomb. So monkey bombs are created. December 16th, 1942, in a personal log, Maxis expresses concern over Element 115's impact on Richtofen's behavior. No longer trusting him, he wonders if it was a mistake to invite him to Group 935. So because of the, mass genocide and craziness that has happened to Richtofen, Maxis no longer trusts him. You don't say. December 20th, 1942, accompanied by Sophia, Maxis is transferred to the Kino facility to focus on creating Germany's undead army. Samantha is left in Richtofen's care. So Maxis is sent to Kino, which, for those of you following along, is the giant theater zombie map. He's sent there to basically create an undead army for Germany, and his daughter is left with the genocidal maniac known as Richtofen. What could go wrong? January 8th, 1943. Maxis worries he and Sophia have grown too close. He considers sending her away. January 16th, 1943, Nikolai is captured by German forces during the Battle of Stalingrad. He becomes a subject in Group 935's experiments, so they're starting to form the group. January 27th, 1943, Maxis reports success with Subject 26, whose violent outbursts have been greatly reduced. Maxis believes this method of treatment will be 100% effective in most cases. So they're starting to think they're getting it going with the zombies. February 2nd, 1943, the Battle of Stalingrad ends. February 10th, 1943, Maxis reports the treatment has been perfected. He believes if Subject 26 can retain the impressions longer than 26 hours, then the delivery of the zombie army can be accelerated. So basically, they are creating zombies that will listen, but they will only listen for about a day, and then they go crazy. February 12th, 1943, after attacking a handler, Subject 26 is killed and deemed another setback. So they thought they had it, and then the subject kills somebody. May 18th, 1943, Harvey Yenna begins his work with Group 935. June 4th, 1943, Primis arrives from Dimension 63 in an effort to prevent the events that are about to unfold. They formulate a plan to stop this dimension's Richtofen. So once again, Primis is the group from back in the 1200s that was part of the Great War, which is still technically all the characters we're talking about, which is the main four, but they are the old versions of them. So they basically come from Dimension 63, which is the dimension to where they are their old selves. And they show up here. June 11th, 1943, Richtofen is contacted from the house by Maxis, who warns that the test subjects must never be allowed to be awakened. The havoc that would be awakened upon the future by such simple-minded individuals would be catastrophic. June 15th, 1943, Takeo reports to the Emperor that the work being done at the Rising Sun facility is unacceptable. So Takeo basically finds out what's going on there and is like, this ain't right. June 19th, 1943, Primis Richtofen is teleported to the house in Agartha, reuniting him with Maxis. So this is kind of like what happens in Kino. So Primis Richtofen, which is old Richtofen, meets up with new Maxis. June 24th, 1943, on the orders of the Emperor, Takeo is taken prisoner by Group 935 in Division 9. He is used as a test for subject experiments. So now not only do they have Nikolai, but now they have Takeo. July 14th, 1944, after the setbacks with Subject 26, Maxis reports new success with the undead army. However, he maintains his belief that the undead cannot be controlled or maintained. So at this point, Maxis is just like, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. September 2nd, 1944, Pablo Manis, a Mexican spy, is captured by Group 935 at Der Eisendrache. May 9th, 1945, in his cell, Pablo writes of visions of a great war. He describes a great battle against strange demon-like creatures who were trying to devour the earth. In his vision, he sees 4 knights protect him from certain death. He makes a note that the knights wore tunics similar to those in Der Eisendrache. So Pablo, who was the guy that got saved back in the medieval times, dreams about that happening and dreams about the medieval Richtofen and all of them also being there. So he doesn't know. So basically, he doesn't know that they are who they are, but he dreams about it. June 14th, 1945, Nocturne Toten. An Allied plane malfunctions over an airfield and crashes. German army trucks transporting the undead and Element 115 between Group 935 facilities is struck. Yeah, that's definitely a typo. Facilities is struck in the crash. That was definitely a typo. The Marines surviving the crash hold out against the undead as long as they can. So this is literally the very first instance of Nazi zombies that we ever see. July 17, 1945, Peter McCain infiltrates Group 935 at Dairies. So good old Peter McCain. July 29th, 1945, Groff and Schuster develop the wave gun. So 1945 is when they finally get that going. July 15th, 1945, Richtofen travels to the Siberia facility to do further research on live specimens. As her temporary guardian, he takes Samantha with him. Group 935 begins transferring 3 test subjects for experiments: Nikolai, Pablo, and Takeo. So these guys finally get experimented on. While Richtofen works at the Siberian facility, Group 935 begins development of Deadshot Daiquiri, which I do believe the Siberia facility is called the Dead. I could be wrong. The test subjects arrive at the Siberian facility for Richtofen's experiments on August 1st, 1945. August 31st, 1945, CIA handler Cornelius Parnell confirms that Peter McCain has successfully infiltrated Group 935 and has been transferred to the asylum facility. Cornelius suspects Group 935 is losing control of their experiments and has sent in a Marine recon unit to extract McCain. Tank Dempsey is the lead to the squad. So this is the last member. We've got Richtofen, we've got Takiao, we've got Nikolai, and now we have Dempsey. September 1st, 1945, Peter is outed as a spy and captured by Group 935. September 2nd, 1945, Richtofen reports Pablo has died following a spleen removal. He also reveals he's been performing experiments on Samantha. World War II ends. Group 935 continues on their research. Temporal rifts begin to affect the asylum facility, and orderly reports increasing problems with test subjects. So, out at Verrucht, things are going crazy. Many in the September 2nd, 1945, many in the facility have begun hearing voices coming from the walls, including the sobbing of a boy and a girl screaming, and a man shouting for children to close the windows. This you can actually hear in the map if you listen to where the disposing of bodies is and the incinerator. September 3rd, 1945, an outbreak occurs at the asylum facility. Peter McCain escapes. So basically the map Verrucht happens there. September 6, 1945, Verrucht, Dempsey, John Banana, Smokey, and a fourth Marine arrive at the asylum facility to find it overrun by zombies. They fight off the horde as long as they can. Dempsey is apprehended by Group 935. So even though you don't technically win in Verrucht, that's what happens. September 7th, 1945, John Banana writes messages and records his last words while being eaten alive by an undead Smokey. That's terrifying. September 10th, 1945, Richtofen reports another spy has been captured and will be brought in to replace the Mexican. The subject is Dempsey. So Dempsey has finally been brought in. Cornelius Parnell attempts to send a transmission to Peter McCain, telling him to rendezvous at the Rising Sun facility. September 17, 1945, Dempsey arrives at the Siberian facility. The entire group has been formed. September 20th, 1945, Richtofen documents the personality traits of his test subjects. Dempsey's intellect seems low, but his will is strong. Takiao is still staring at the floors, muttering what sounds like some kind of proverb over and over again. Nikolai has recently begun responding to stimuli, but only after injections of a new serum made primarily of vodka. Richtofen takes notes that their minds have been almost entirely broken, with no memory remaining who they once were. So now the group is officially formed. Richtofen returns to Der Riese with Dempsey, Nikolai, Takiao, Samantha. October 1st, 1945, Max's reports on Richtofen's findings with his live test subjects, noting that while their baseline psyche remains intact, all specific memories have been lost. October 1st, 1945, infuriated to learn that Maxis has not been mass-producing the DG2 as he swore he would, Richtofen reveals his plot to destroy Maxis and Samantha, vowing that he will no longer continue to work his undead army. So Richtofen at this point abandons Maxis altogether. October 8th, 1945, Groff reports Richtofen the MPD is nearly ready. So they've sent enough people up to the moon to die to fill up all these vats with souls, I guess. October 12th, 1945, Groff's radio Richtofen to inform him that the device has been powered up and is awaiting the conduit. Richtofen says he will proceed with the Operation Shield and dispose of Maxis and Samantha. So this is where the what happens with Derice and all that stuff. October 13th, 1945. Though frustrated that the matter transference tests have been largely unsuccessful, Maxis acknowledges that the test subjects' departure from their original point of origins is undeniable. However, Richtofen's suggestions that the subjects have been transported not through space, but time itself, causes Maxis to worry if his irrationality may soon prove a liability to our endeavors. October 13, 1945, Maxis and Richtofen performed teleportation test trials on test subjects number 3, 4, and 5. All fail, including test 5, where Maxis uses Fluffy as test 6 chamber. Samantha sees Fluffy and runs into the teleporter. Maxis chases after her. Richtofen seals them both in the test chamber and teleports all 3 of them. So all these teleportation tests have not worked. So Maxis decides to use Samantha's dog. Samantha runs in after the dog. Maxis runs in after Samantha. They're all 3 in there. Richtofen seizes the opportunity. October 13th, 1945. Samantha is teleported to the moon while Groff and Schuster work on the MPD. Running into the MPD, she is drawn inside of it, where she becomes corrupted by the dark ether. Maxis is teleported to the crazy place and develops the power to merge with electricity. Richtofen returns to the moon, learning Samantha is trapped in the NPD. He orders Groff to teleport Maxis there to coax her out of the device. He also warns Groff to keep an eye out for an evil-looking dog. Richtofen returns to the moon. So this is where the moon stuff happens. October 13th, 1945. In an effort to free Samantha, Maxis approaches the MPD and persuades her to come out. Once she does, Maxis gives her an instruction: kill them all. Maxis kills himself and merges with the technology of Griffin Station, while Samantha unleashes the undead upon the base. So, if you're playing on Nuketown, this is where that zombies thing splits, because it's actually happening on the moon. October 14th, 1945, H. Porter activates the alarm as an outbreak occurs at Derice. Before taking a cyanide capsule, he says he's all out of hope. God forgive us all. So, H. Porter is dead. October 14th, 1945, also, Richtofen returns to Derice and awakens Dempsey, Takao, and Nikolai. With no recollection of who they are or who Richtofen is, they agree to help him. The 4 would become known as Ultimus. So, this now is Ultimus. So there's Primis, who is these same 4 characters, but in the past, we'll just say medieval times. There is Ultimus, who is those same 4 characters in the current times. And then Victus will come later, which is basically the transit crew. October 18, 1945, Peter McCain parachutes over the Rising Sun facility. He dies shortly after. So when you see Shino Numa and you see the dude with the parachute, that's Peter McCain. October 21st, 1945, Shino Numa. Ultimus travels to the Rising Sun facility to recover Richtofen's diary. Upon reading it, Richtofen begins to form his plan to defeat Samantha. So at this point, Samantha controls all the zombies, and you're basically now playing Call of Duty. October 28th, 1945, Derice. Ultimus returns to Derice with his diary. Richtofen plans to use the teleporter to return to the moon to confront Samantha. Unfortunately, the Wunderwaffe DG-2 overloads the teleporter, sending him through time, causing Richtofen to drop his diary. November 5th, 1945, Group 935 is disbanded. So the Derice thing, I believe you actually see in one of the cutscenes of Black Ops 3 Zombies. I could be wrong. January 19th, 1946, the United States and the Soviet Union share the resources recovered from Group 935's various research stations. Richtofen's diary is among the items recovered by the Soviet Union. Interesting. January 27, 1946, the Pentagon hires many former Group 935 scientists in an effort to replicate their work. January 29, 1946, as with their U.S. counterparts, the Soviets hire many former Group 935 scientists. Among them is Harvey Yenna, who forms the Ascension Group. So Yenna, who we mentioned earlier, creates basically the people who run the map Ascension. July 29th, 1952, the Pentagon begins experiments involving their own versions of the undead. May 12th, 1955, the U.S. government transfers a number of Element 115 experiments to the Groom Lake facility. So basically, they're transferring from 5 to No Man's Land. October 19th, 1955, Gersh and Yuri Zavoisky began working for the Ascension Group. So Gersh you'll recognize later. For those zombie people, you know the Gersh device. April 25th, 1956, explorers Brock and Gary discover Shangri-La during an eclipse. They are unwittingly trapped in a time loop. Sally, sent back in time from 2011, is trapped in the same loop. Ultimus arrives in Shangri-La. With the help of Brock and Gary, they acquire the focusing stone. So that was pretty much the Shangri-La map and the time travel will tell achievement. June 3rd, 1959, the Pentagon constructs their own prototype teleporter and commence experimentation. March 15th, 1962, studying the Group 935's medicinal elixir research, the Ascension Group develops PhD Flopper and Stamina Up. November 11th, 1962, Gersh begins work on Project Thunder. December 12, 1962, Gersh and Yuri begin work on the Gersh device, codenamed Project Mercury. June 15, 1963, the Pentagon begins development on their own version of the Wunderwaffe DG-2. October 17, 1963, the Pentagon begins development with their own version of the Winter's Howl, which is the cold pistol you get from 5. October 28, 1963, Kino der Toten conspires. From Darius, Ultimus teleports to Kino. This marks the first time Ultimus travels across space and time. Temporal rifts occur across dimensions. In light of these developments, Monty feels obligated to step in and begins to make changes in the background across time. He helps Group 935 invent perk machines, and he adds chalk drawings to walls, little nudges. Ultimus locates the lunar lander and fly to the Ascension facility. So during Kino, the chalk drawings come out to create the gun buys. So Monty creates the gun buys, and Monty creates perk machines. So basically, Monty is pretty much God at this point. He's just creating stuff for everybody. October 29th, 1963, Gersh informs the senior staff that Yuri has been removed from Project Mercury and has been transferred to rocket research. October 29th, 1963, Yuri begins to notice that the appearance of children's toys around the facility. So, Samantha's coming. November 1st, 1963, upon reading Richtofen's diary, Yuri begins to hear Samantha's voice. Over several days, her voice will consume him, driving him to resume work on the Gersh device. He obeys. So Gersh removed him. Samantha brought him back. November 4th, 1963, Gersh announces to the committee that Project Thunder is nearing completion. Gersh reveals Yuri may need to be removed from Ascension entirely, having observed him being hostile toward other scientists and frequently observed muttering to himself. Let's see here, and I think that is actually where we are going to stop for this video. We will be here at November 5th, 1963, which I will actually write down, that way it is not forgotten. But as we move forward, we'll be getting more into the Ascension, Ascension 5, and a few other things. Of course, Call of the Dead is coming, Moon, all that stuff, and then we'll be getting more into Black Ops 2 and into that sort of area. So we're going to be ending here. Hopefully you guys do enjoy this and are enjoying the reading, or at least enjoying the knowledge and learning some stuff. Maybe a few things that are new, or some stuff that you did not know about the Zombies universe. It's always been something that's fascinated me, and I've always dug into the Zombies lore since Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, when there wasn't really a lore, there were just achievements and a hidden storyline that no one really knew about. This is something that's been always really cool just to follow along with. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, once again, leave a like on the video. Post a comment if you would like to have anything else read or looked over or anything like that, or if there's anything specific that you would like to see as a video. And if you would like to continue to see videos like this, hit that subscribe button. As always, I am Master RKO, and for the first time in a very quiet time, I will see you guys in the next one. Adios.